They have fallen out with each other, but it appears that in fact Harry and Meghan are now glued to these two ex-friends, seemingly wanting to know exactly how they can get a sprinkling of their magic stardust, particularly as they move forward trying to replicate some success that they've had very little of so far on their own. As ever, let me explain. Morning, good to see you today. You all right? Thank you so much for your time. Now, it's interesting there, but I'm also going to just point out lovely comments, by the way, about our wonderful story with the singer Anne Shelton and, of course, the Royal Variety performance. I just thought it was a lovely, lovely story. So glad I was able to share it with you. And as I say, when you meet these people, when you're very young, you are a little bit sort of dismissive, aren't you? And I don't mean that in a rude way, but you don't realise that what that person's done. When I say I met Anne Shelton, it was very briefly, as I say, at a party. Lovely, warm, friendly lady. But of course, when you're young, you're always looking at the people that are relevant to you in that period, aren't they? Yes, the follies of youth and stupidity, eh? We've all done it though, haven't we? Back as ever to your royal story of the day. Now, when you think about it, Harry and Meghan really lack one vital ingredient, in my opinion. Clearly, they have no sense of humour. You could see that by the debacle that happened with the South Park and then, of course, the Family Guy. They were in uproar about that because it proved to them, to the world, that they were spikeless. They couldn't really take a joke. And even when you saw the engagement interview where they pretended to goof around, you could see that Meghan was really just acting to make herself look cokey, fun, relevant, that type of thing. It just didn't come over. Harry himself takes himself vastly serious, incredibly when you think about it. Did have a sort of sense of humour when he had some chums, but Meghan got rid of all of those people so that they now can no longer influence him. Goes around, of course, like a wet weekend with a face to match, as we've seen when caught off camera. But now Netflix bosses truly believe that basically if they want to keep in a contract, they have to do something, which is develop something rather more harder than just making jams and making fuzzy videos. We're talking about connection, connectability, coming through the screen, making sure that the audience, in fact, like you, Now, two people that have done incredibly well on this, and this surprised a lot of people, was none other than, of course, otherwise known as Posh and Becks, David Beckham and Victoria Beckham. Now, they recently starred in their own drama, docuseries, whatever you call it, and it's proved a great success. Now, I would surmise it's because what you see is actually what you really do see. Having met them both, they're both very down-to-earth people, and I think the fact that David just sort of pricks, Victoria's ego from time to time, it's kind of fun. You can see that that's probably how they are in real life, and that's what's made them successful on screen. Netflix are suggesting that both Harry and Meghan go down this very similar route. Watch what they did and see how they come across. But you see, the problem with Harry and Meghan is this, that she takes herself way too seriously, believes that every time she gets to a podium, she's going to change the world with tedious things like, create your own seat at the table and all of that sort of typical therapy speak that doesn't necessarily work to the wider public. The two projects that they've got, cooking and polo, very much out the reach of the ordinary, because cooking in a very expensive kitchen when people are on a cost of living crisis does not resonate, unless, of course, you've been at it many years like Mary Berry or indeed Martha Stewart. Now, Netflix have very tactfully said, here's all the tapes, here's all the things, watch them, see how they developed it. And apparently, even their producers could be on standby to be recruited to try and warm up the act. But the problem is you can't warm up a damp squib. And the other side of the coin is, truly, they both don't have any sense of humour. Even the date night quip that she made sat on that podium with Harry, you knew it all been rehearsed. He's not a natural performer, not a bad speaker, better than her and certainly more sincere. But as Netflix are now finding out, millions of dollars later, they hired a turkey, and no amount of heating it up can make it palatable to the general public. Neil Sean in the very heart of London.